Please share these videos, if only to highlight that standing on the reef is unacceptable. Weber's Joy is also known as Witch's Hut, but the only explanation of that name we could find mentioned a hut on the beach long ago. Nothing about witches, and there is no hut anymore. There is an abandoned building up on the road, which can be a bit spooky if you'd like it to be. It's pretty small, with just 2 main rooms and a few alcoves. Over the years, previous visitors have left some comments on the walls for posterity. We're not sure what Danny did, but disrespect is probably the nicest negative verb we've seen in graffiti. The outside is nothing but the beautiful raw nature of Bonaire. The building butts up against a small cliff, and there are lots of cacti in the area. You might even see some flowers. The coastline is just as rugged and impressive. Snails are easy to find. However, crabs can be more elusive. We've seen a few snorkelers, but there aren't too many soft, flat areas on shore to set up a base. This area to the right of the entry has some wind protection from the wall, but you would need a few towels or perhaps a folding chair to make it comfortable. That said, there is plenty to see in the shallows. Coral heads grow close to the shore, providing shelter for all sorts of small fish. Sometimes you may even see larger fish, even from shore. We saw this rainbow parrotfish grazing in water so shallow, its tail broke the surface a few times. But that wasn't the only uncommon thing we saw. 5 first-time captures for us include an Ankar's peppermint shrimp, this rainbow runner tailing a tarpon, a neck crab, angular brittle star, and a sea wasp. Weber's Joy also had a spotted eagle ray, southern stingray, a school of blue runners, and some spiny flower coral. We have more and longer clips to share, but first we would like to ask a favor. If you enjoy these videos, find them entertaining, or even educational, please consider hitting the subscribe button. We also appreciate the thoughtful comments and questions you guys have been posting lately, so keep those coming as well. Thanks! Smiley faces. Weber's Joy is in the northern half of Bonaire, about halfway between Kralendijk and the National Park. From downtown Kralendijk, take Kaya Gobernator Nicholas de Bruyt, which turns into Boulevard Gobernator Nicholas de Bruyt for 4.7 miles. When the road runs into the coast, it will turn right and also change names to Queen's Highway. Proceed for another 3/4 of a mile and look for a blue parking sign, followed by that abandoned building on the right. There's dirt parking here and paved parking here, but this paved parking next to the building is right across from the entrance. If those are full, there is additional parking here. Some spots even have shade. There are no real amenities here. Well, there is a receptacle for discarded fishing line, which had a frog in it one time. And while that cement building can provide shade, your car likely has better air conditioning. If you don't set your gear up at home, your truck is the most convenient place to put everything together. That said, we did see a couple take their gear down to the bottom step and assemble it there. When you're ready, follow the rock and mortar stairs down to the shore. The rock and dead coral on the beach is quite loose and kind of steep in some places, so be careful, especially when fully geared up. Once in the water, the bottom is primarily rock with a little bit of sand. The surge and uneven floor may add some excitement to the entry and exit process, but it's not too bad. The rocky shore quickly transitions to a short stretch of sand, followed by a field of soft coral, which is where the reef starts. Weber's Joy doesn't seem to be nearly as popular by boat as 1000 Steps or a few other dive sites just up the coast. Still, keep your ears open and your wits about you whenever near the surface. The compass heading facing the reef is 220 degrees southwest. Setting it to 40 degrees northeast will get you back to dry land. Note that there's a dive site marker buoy in the distance on the right. It's anchored in about 15 feet of water and very close to the most interesting part of the reef, in our opinion, but more on that shortly. Swimming straight out, the area near the drop-off is at 15 feet and is so full of soft coral that it looks like a huge underwater forest. Two aspects that struck us the most about the reef were its diversity and some unique formations. Every nook and cranny has so many different corals and sponges. This is actually brain coral, not maze coral, but don't you want to grab a pencil and try to solve it? For the record, this is what maze coral looks like. The reef is constantly evolving, and the circle of life is apparent when swimming over it. Overgrowing mat tunicate attacks a variety of hard corals for a time, and then recedes, which can lead to dead coral patches. This decaying lobed star coral is covered with algae. However, lettuce and fire coral have started to grow through it, and a grooved brain coral is thriving in this dead spot. The star coral on this round coral head is slowly being taken over by the surrounding encrusting gorgonian. The reef has sand patches, large sections of lobed star coral, and some huge brain coral. Here's a view of what it all looks like down to 100 feet. As far as highlights go, the flat area just west of the boat mooring has a number of outstanding rock and coral structures that can be quite interesting. Open water can be just as dramatic. We caught this spotted eagle ray swimming across the reef one morning, and this school of boga trying to evade some barjacks about 15 minutes later. A few minutes after that, this tarpon and rainbow runner team swam by. That rainbow runner was a first-time capture, by the way. Creole wrasse were all over the reef, too. It wouldn't be a shore dive without discussing the shallows. Pockets of blade fire coral populate the area near the shore, and often play home to damselfish and assorted juveniles. Schools of juvenile bluehead wrasse can regularly be seen swimming around sea plumes as well. Snorkelers and divers may also see spotted goatfish, an intermediate blue tang, or perhaps blue-striped and French grunts enjoying the shade of a large sea fan. Oh, and these rocks are these rocks, so if you see them on the way in, you're right back at the entrance. We caught these two very active honeycomb cowfish in open water. I assume it has something to do with mating, as territorial disputes are typically a bit closer to the reef. Leslie prompted me to look inside this branching tube sponge. My camera couldn't focus on it, but she got some amazing shots of the Ankar's peppermint shrimp inside. It was a first-time capture. This brightly colored male bluehead wrasse was displaying courtship colors and chasing around some young females. We also saw a very tenacious yellow goatfish trying to flesh out something tasty, while a yellowhead wrasse covered the perimeter to capture anything trying to escape. A school of blue runners made a couple of passes during our safety stop in the shallows. And what dive isn't made a little more special with squid? Those are just a few examples of some special moments we had. Here are some other clips of more standard sea life at Weber's Joy. We did go on a night dive, but had some challenges. There was a lot of particulate in the water, which caused some autofocus issues. And my lights attracted swarms of these things. Still, it was a great dive, starting with this southern stingray gliding over the soft coral. This long-spined urchin caught my eye, and then I noticed a juvenile clinging crab using it as protection. Smart. Brittle stars were out as well. This one with rounded lobes and striped arms could be an angular brittle star. Yolanda somehow spotted this black neck crab under some Y-branched alga and called me over. It was an amazing first-time capture. As was this sea wasp hanging out near the surface. A peacock flounder was either attracted to my lights, or perhaps saw the worms and other creatures swimming around them as a potential meal. The other sea life was terrific as well, and if you come to Weber's Joy at night, these are some of the other creatures you might see. Enjoy!